By now, y'all should already know that you just never know until the day of who might get entered into the Triple P Hall of Shame. And there is no one rather that is spared from being entered into it, just like the Big Bucking Hall of Shame and the Blackaren Hall of Shame. So for the first time ever, Dr. Phil McGraw has been inducted into the Triple P Hall of Shame. And why, you may ask? As you can see right there on your screen, it said Phil McGraw's Merit Street Media files for bankruptcy and sues distribution partner Trinity Broadcasting. It says the talk show's host media venture launched in early 2024. Now you gotta think, early 2024, and it is now the middle of 2025, and they're already filing for bankruptcy. This thing barely lasted a year. That is crazy. But the thing about it is, there's actually way more to this story than what you saw on your screen, so we gonna be here for a little bit, but let's get into it. Dr. Phil McGraw's Merit Street Media is filing for bankruptcy and is also suing its distribution partner Trinity Broadcasting for breach of contract. Merit Street is less than 2 years old, having launched in early 2024 with a McGraw-led talk show as its flagship program. In its filing, the company cites severely strained liquidity position and the failure to secure additional outside capital as reasons for the declaration. It also mentions ongoing legal issues with Trinity Broadcasting and the professional bull riders as contributing factors. In conjunction with the Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court's North Texas Division, Merit Street is based in Fort Worth, Texas. Merit Street has sued Trinity for breach of contract, claiming the broadcaster, best known for its Christian programming, failed to live up to the terms of its joint venture. Trinity Broadcasting Network is being sued by Merit Street Media for failing to provide clearly agreed upon national distribution and other significant foundational commitments critical to the network's continuing success and viability, a Merit Street spokesperson said in a statement. The suit is part of a restructuring proceeding also initiated by MSM. The Professional Bull Riders organization isn't named in the suit, but it's mentioned in the bankruptcy filing. Merit Street bought rights to air PBR events on its Merit TV channel, but the group pulled its programming in November 2024, saying Merit Street had yet to make any right payments. The two parties are currently in arbitration. Merit TV has also made headlines for its, quote, behind-the-scenes view of immigration and customs enforcement raids, also known as ICE, in Chicago and Los Angeles this year, as Dr. Phil has taken up a role as an unofficial spokesperson for President Trump in advocating for the raids. McGraw-Patetsky Production Company provided substantial capital infusions to Merit Street to help cover expenses, the bankruptcy filing says, but Merit Street couldn't close a round of equity financing, leading to the Chapter 11 filing. The lawsuit against Trinity Broadcasting alleges that shortly after Merit TV's launch, TBN began to abuse its power as a controlling shareholder and, among other things, caused Merit Street to enter into expensive distribution deals with third parties rather than through its own network of local TV stations, engaged in self-dealing by leasing TBN studio space to produce McGraw shows, and provided shoddy production services. So it just seems like everything over there, like they said, they just didn't live up to the deal or to the standards in which they were trying to provide when it comes to whatever the deal it is that they signed. They probably figure, oh, it's Dr. Phil, he had his own show that ran for a long time, and the thing is, it did, but then they probably just didn't want to deal with him because of who he was associating with. But the most interesting thing about this is that if you look at the date of this, it says July 2nd, 2025. Now, fast forward to a couple days ago from the time of me recording this, and you'll find out something else.
But wait, there's more.
So look at this headline right here, and this is coming from The Independent. Dr. Phil's anti-woke TV network files for bankruptcy, accuses Christian broadcasting partner of, quote, sabotage. So when I saw this, I said that told me all I needed to know right there of what type of network this dude was trying to run. And the company wasn't feeling the vibe and said, no, we're pulling the plug on it. Now it's crazy because they said that it took about less than a year in order for them to pull the plug on it, so it didn't even last. Now the crazy part about it is that his show that he had, Dr. Phil, on CBS, ran for like at least a decade successfully until it couldn't run anymore. But with this, and already with a name established, he couldn't even have this run for a whole year at the very most before they pulled the plug on it. And now he's claiming that it was sabotage. No, it wasn't sabotage. It's just that they wasn't vibing with you. They saw who you started to associate yourself with, and they started to see what you was putting out there. And when they keep saying, and they said anti-woke, I already know what Dr. Phil was about to be putting out there. And this leads into another, I guess you can say, a little mini argument. This is letting all of us know, or at least me, as the person from the outside looking in, that those people out there who are trying to push, who are doing the quote unquote anti-woke content, whether it's what Dr. Phil was trying to do, or whether it's people, especially in the media, especially when it comes to a lot of these comic book movies and stuff like that, it's pretty much at this point run its course. And I'll give you an example. Look at the two most recent big comic book movies that came out. You have Fantastic Four, that's most recent, and then you had Superman that came out a couple weeks before it. A lot of people who had a lot of crap to say about both of those movies, they either pulled back or they just got quiet altogether, and then they said, oh, we was wrong. The thing is, we already knew that they was wrong. It's that we knew that y'all was putting stuff out there for clickbait and rage bait. And then some of them, even when they were wrong, they still went even further off the deep end and were still even more wrong. They just have no problem with it because the thing is, they already built their audience around a certain persona, and they have to keep up that appearance. For example, I was looking at a comment that the Critical Drinker left on his Twitter account where he was saying that the Fantastic Four wasn't that bad, and you know, Disney finally did something right or something along those lines. And then when you looked at the comment section, they was in there turning on him. See, so that just shows you right there, a lot of the stuff that they do is very performative. And speaking of, he had to upload his Sinners review on his alternate channel because he already knows what would have happened if he put that on his main channel of how he actually felt about that movie. And the same thing goes for some of these other individuals. They have to make sure they keep their audience there. So what do? They sit up there and they spew a whole bunch of lies about whatever before they even see the finished product. Same thing goes with Ironheart. I know there was some people that didn't like Ironheart, but guess what? It charted on Nielsen's at number 6. And that's mainly due because of the negative feedback that it got from people like Critical Drinker or Neurotic and the rest of that ilk. It made people curious and want to go and watch it. So they helped give that show the boost that probably wouldn't have gotten if they just kept their mouth shut. So it is what it is. And then at the end of the day, the show wasn't as nearly as bad as they tried to make it out to be. Much like a lot of the other things that they say is trash or woke or it's whatever other nonsense that they could come up with at the time. So I think that's the same thing that's happening with Dr. Phil. I think what's really boiling down to is the bastardized version of woke is about to start phasing out, and thank God, if hopefully I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that is indeed the case. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I will talk to you in the next one.